of you were interested in the agenda and the questions that we asked ourselves and the breakthroughs that we were, not the breakthroughs that we were having, but how we were creating those breakthroughs. So I wanted to share those things with you guys today. And I'm going to share the agenda on my screen so you can screenshot and have all of those questions that we asked ourselves for you. But I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things before I do that. So number one, if you have a partner, spouse, business partner, someone who doesn't really want to set goals, and you've really tried, it's like pulling teeth to try to get them involved, let me know in the comments below, because that has been my sweet, dear, lovely husband. But I wanted to talk about, if you guys want to hear about it, then I want to talk about how you can actually enroll someone who is resistant to setting goals into a goal setting retreat and make it easy for them to say yes and have them actually enjoy it. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. The first part of our goal setting retreat, we talked about the reason why we were there. So whenever you're starting something, whenever you're doing anything at all, even if it's just a meeting at work, if it's a time block, if it's a goal setting retreat, you've got to understand the purpose and the reason why. Why are we here? Why does this matter? So that was one of the first questions that we asked ourselves was, why does this even matter for us to be here right now setting these goals, and who is this important for? When it comes to our children, why does this matter that we're coming together to intentionally design our life? Why does that matter for our children? Why does that matter for our relationship, and why does that matter for our careers and our greater community? So let me start off. Let me just go ahead and share. I'm going to share these I'm going to share my questions with you so you guys can see them. And couples goal setting retreat. All right. Hopefully you can all see that. Show and stream. Booyah. Okay. Can we make my face a little smaller? Nope. That made them smaller. There we go. Awesome. All right. So number one, we are also basing, so we're basing our framework off of what's called appreciative inquiry, which is a specific way of designing questions to get more out of your question and more out of the discussions. So when you intentionally design great questions, you're going to get great results. So these are some really awesome questions that you should totally steal them and use them in your own life and business. All right. So number one, why is it meaningful for us to be here? We talked about that. What we did was we set a timer for 2 minutes. We turned on some inspirational music and we both wrote with a piece of paper and a pen. We both wrote down why it was important. After those 2 minutes, we shared those things with each other. And we really started to play off of each other and get into this groove and get into this really great energy of, wow, man, we need to do this more often. This feels really good. And it only took 2 minutes to get into that sort of vibe and that energy. So that's a great way to start off a goal setting retreat. The next thing we did was a section that's called identify. So now that we know why we're here and why it matters that we're showing up and being all in, let's take a look at where we are. Okay. And I have a 4-part goal setting framework of basically four parts, a 4-part process to achieve any goal and to really make those goals inevitable. And the first part of that is to know your A. That's what I call it. Know your A, which is basically your starting point. Where is the place that you are currently at? If you took an inventory of life, what's going to be on that piece of paper? So the first thing we looked at was our strengths. Then we looked at our weaknesses and the opportunities that we have. So the reason why we look at our strengths first is to really know who we are and what distinguishes us from the rest. Okay. So this was a really fun activity. We sat down and asked the other person, what's a time when the other person has been at their best? And what were the qualities that you displayed? Can you share a story about a time when you saw me at my best? And so we both sat, we thought for a few minutes, and then we swapped stories with each other. And not only does it feel really good to hear people talk positively about you, but it helps you realize the strengths that you know you have and just have them be validated by somebody else. And it also points out strengths that we didn't realize that we had. And when we're clear on what our strengths are and we're clear on the things that come easiest to us, those those things that come easy to us and those things that are our strengths should be the things that we share with other people. We should share those things every day and be so generous with those talents that we have because that's what makes us us. That's what energizes us and makes us tick. And one of my favorite things is the thing that comes easiest to you should be the thing that you're paid the most amount of money for. And the first time I heard that, it was a little bit backwards in my head. I thought, that is so weird. I thought making money and work was supposed to be hard, but I have no idea why I thought that. It makes so much more sense to me that the thing that you are incredibly gifted at, which is so easy and feels so good, should be the thing you are paid the most amount of money for. So I digress because we're talking about goals, but that was fantastic. Then the next thing we did was take a look at our individual strengths combined. And how do we show up as different? How are we set apart from other couples and other families? And we talked about that. And we talked about the things that really matter to us. And that was really, really a cool thing to do with your partner. Um, this next question was my absolute favorite question. We got the most value out of this one. Instead of talking about our core values, which a lot of people will do and organizations will do that, people we just say things like, "Well, I value honesty. I value hard work. I value integrity." Okay, good for you. We all value those things, right? But what does that actually mean? What how can we take these letters and words on a piece of paper and actually have them mean something in our life, right? So now don't get me wrong, because Brock and I both have, three core values and these three words that we use to really describe what we value. But when you put them in this context that I'm about to show you, it makes it so much more powerful. So we asked ourselves three questions and we had a piece of paper with three sections. Number one, what have we undervalued in the last 3, 6 months, this year? What have we undervalued? Next was, what have we overvalued and what have we properly valued? So we had the most items in our undervalued column and very few in our overvalued and a handful in our properly valued. But let me give you an example. Based off of the results, we undervalue um, date night. And you know how I know that? Is because we don't go on date night as frequently as we say we want to go on date night. So we realize based off of our actions, we've been undervaluing that. Also, based off of our actions, we've been undervaluing having one on one time with our children. So, going through this exercise was really an eye opener for us to see we actually do value one on one time with our children, but right now we're undervaluing it because based off our actions, we're not doing it. And it was a way for us to really find where we want to be with where we are at. And that, knowing your A, right? Knowing where you're at, we're a little bit off. We're not fully aligned. We're a little bit off. So that can be really helpful, especially when you're about to set some goals of how you'd like to get back on the path to where you want to go. All right. After that, we went through our weaknesses. And the reason why it's important to go through your weaknesses, and there's some nuance to this, is because these are the big frustrations. These are the big sticky points. These are the things that feel like they're weighing you down, and you're like, oh, I can't get out of this. This is so frustrating. I'm so sick and tired of it. I want it to be different. Well, perfect. This is awesome. When you can identify what you don't want, you can then begin to identify what you do want, because we always want to be framing our goals in the positive of what we do want. So, the three questions that were really helpful for us were, what feels impossible? And this question is not, what do you think is impossible? The question is, what do you feel is impossible? And I'll tell you, there's not a lot of things that I personally think are impossible because I think that human beings are awesome and we put a man on the moon, we put cars in space, we can do anything we want, right? Now, can I put a car into space? Maybe, but that feels kind of impossible. Not that I'm trying to do that, but when you take a look at the things that feel to you, it's it's where the rubber hits the road. It's where we can actually start working with some really fun stuff when it comes to goal setting, achievement, implementing strategy, and having accountability to an actual plan to get where you want to go. So, next question, what isn't working for you and where do you feel stuck? Okay, so I would love to hear what you guys think about these questions, but also if you're answering these questions, what's coming up for you? What's not working in your life? Well, maybe your 45-minute commute to work isn't working for you, right? And maybe you can't do anything about that right now, but maybe you can start doing something about it, right? Or maybe you feel stuck because every day is like Groundhog's Day and your kids complain at you and they do this and they do that and they eat the same thing and they refuse the food, whatever that is. You may feel stuck somewhere. So just let those things out. And what Brock and I did is we put all those stuck points and all those things that felt impossible, we put them on sticky notes and then we put them up on one side of a big whiteboard. And then on the other side of the whiteboard is where we had the things we do want. So what we did was we took each one of those stuck points of what we don't want and we transformed it into something that we do want. Now, it's not about making a plan. It's not about knowing if it's possible. It's just about identifying what do you not want and what do you want, right? Which is why this section is called Identify. Next, Brock and I did a meditation where we really unlocked our ability to think huge, to think bigger than this world, to think bigger than ourselves, to really elevate our perspective of what's possible and to let ourselves believe that anything is possible. We just have to figure out how to make that happen. And when you truly believe that anything is possible, you actually start to go for those things. You actually start to do the work to get yourself in that direction. And when you're so committed and you're like, you know what? I have no clue how this is going to happen. I just know I want to do it. Like, for example, I have no clue how it's going to happen, but I want an RV and I want to go road tripping around America. That is what I want to do with my family. Heck, I even think it'd be kind of awesome to live in an RV for a half minute. But I'll tell you, I don't think Brock's going to be on board. I have no idea where we're going to find an RV, how big, how to even drive one, how to hitch it up, how to empty the potty. I have no idea how to do all those things. But does it matter? Well, it only matters if my commitment to the thing that I want is greater than or smaller than all of those little mechanics and all those little pieces to figure out, right? So many people get really stuck on the mechanics of things, and you will miss out on a lot in life if you get stuck on the mechanics because you'll never get past the door. You'll always have things in your head, but you won't ever turn them into a reality, right? So allowing yourself in this section of the goal setting retreat to really just feel into and open up with, I don't want this anymore. I really just don't want this. I have no idea how to get rid of it, but here's what I do want instead. And when you identify those things, that, my friend, is when I can help you make it a reality, because it doesn't matter what the mechanics are, we can figure that out. But what I can't figure out for you is what you want. Okay. So that is a super critical part of goal setting, is bringing to the table the things that you want. Okay. So we also have a day 2 part of our goal setting retreat. We are only able to get through day 1 because we have 4 kids and school is only so long and you have to, all of that. So stay tuned. I will have a part 2 section for this training coming out, but I would love if you gave feedback on how was this? What was the number one thing you got out of this training today? And so, I am going live on my personal page and inside of my Facebook community. But if you want to join my Facebook community, I do these trainings once a week. And I am launching a training and coaching company to support entrepreneurs and their management teams in really operating at a high performance level and being able to manage people and projects super effectively so you can get what you want out of your business. So if that sounds like you, if you run a business, if you have a team and you're looking for support in becoming the world's best manager, in becoming an absolutely amazing boss, and really supporting and knowing how to help your team get better results, you are in the right place, my friend, because that is what we're all about here is being effective leaders and being effective people to create more of what we want in life. And my vehicle for doing that is entrepreneurship. And I think entrepreneurs are here to change the world. We're the ones who are thinking ahead, who are the dreamers. And amen on a Tuesday. I love entrepreneurship. So I'll just say that. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you soon. If you want to text me, I actually got a new text phone number. And it's okay, 415-862-7472. So maybe I'll put that in the comments, but you can text me, and that is my community number. So that's where I'm going to be having real live actual conversations with people one-on-one, as well as sending some, group messages like a message blast, right? Of inspiring content, of entrepreneurship, of leadership content, of high performance, and really supporting you and being a coach in your pocket to help you stay accountable to the things that matter most so you can achieve the things that you really want out of your life and your business. So, all right, y'all. Have an awesome day. It was so fun to hang out with you, and I will